Thank you for reminding me.
All right.
Last cock up of the day, I hope.
Or not.
Ladies and gentlemen. Touche. Ladies and gentlemen, pray silence. Well, we could do the mind down in here a bit if you want. A former pupil of Fenny Scholes School, Blackburn. A former pupil of St Bede's School, Blackburn. A man who loves music so much that he cycled 300 miles to watch Oasis in Paris, and unfortunately they cancelled. He loves music so much that his lovely girlfriend Sarah is also in music. He is a triathlete. He is a triathlete, and if you knew Sarah, I'm sure that you'd realise why. He is a marathon runner, and he is probably the least boring quantity surveyor you'll ever meet. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bradley James Henderson.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, John, for those marvellous intros. Fantastic compere, master of ceremonies and maker of poor taste jokes he may be. But me and Brad, I think, would both like to say, John, thank you very much for the past few days. You've done this through this. As John says, we've got a firework display outside at 8 o'clock, so has the entertainer turned off their mobile phone, please? Fantastic, let's get underway. Brad and I are Greg's oldest friends, and the reason Greg picked us as best men was he thought he could trust us to give an accurate, fair and not too disparaging character assessment. This trust was misplaced. I first met Greg when I was about 9. We were forcibly recruited into the local orchestra on account of us both playing clarinet. It wasn't really until secondary school that we bonded, became best friends, and that was more on account of safety than anything. I don't know if you can imagine what it's like to carry a clarinet around the Lancaster in secondary school. It's very much advised to move in packs, it makes you harder to pick up.
It may surprise all of you to know as well that around about the age that Scott's talking, Greg was head and shoulders taller than me and Scott. So for this reason he became like the big brother that we never had and didn't really want, to be honest. But luckily for us this was before the feed genetics properly kicked in and that growth spurt stopped sometime around about 1997. He's been this tall since. I mean, there's been times over the years when we've been to Blackpool Pleasure Beach or we've been to Alton Towers and Greg's always said he didn't fancy it, but I just think it's because, to be honest, he wouldn't get bigger on it.
I'd like to say I thought it was a very brave discussion. Decision? It is dark up here. Decision for Greg to have these candle displays quite so tall, when in comparison to... this is a really filthy joke, I'm going to cut this short right now and you can draw your own conclusions.
Also around this age, it was impossible for all the teachers to say to Greg, act your age, not your sushi. Not your sushi. He was a 12-year-old boy with size 12 feet. And we all know what they say about boys with big feet, don't we, girls? Good swimmers, weren't you, Greg? Really good swimmers, didn't you?
As Greg and I got talking, it turned out we shared a similar love of film, and some years later, on passing our driving test, we could be found going over the moors to Bolton, 20-mile round trip, 3, 4, 5 times a week to see the latest masterpieces at the local multiplex. This love of film extended as far as making our own efforts as 13-year-olds dressed as Star Wars characters in Greg's back garden with an old family video camera. None of these exist today to be shown to you. It's not because they're lost, but basically it's not too late to have the marriage annulled, and Sophie may die of embarrassment. We later moved to Manchester, where Greg met Sophie to make films on a degree course. And around about this time, it's traditional for a best man to make some insight onto Greg's technique with the ladies. However, I've already said he was a clarinet-playing, Star Wars imitating geek who used to spend 15 hours a week in the cinema with another man. I'll let you draw your own conclusions as to where this left his pulling technique.
And when Greg got to Manchester, I'd already been living in Manchester about a year. And I got to know Sophie because she was in the same halls as me, so I spent that whole year just annoying Sophie as much as possible and into receiving a proper bollocking. So it was actually me that introduced Greg and Sophie. And Greg, I think it's fair to say that everyone in this room will agree that you are forever indebted to me. Introducing you to such a lovely, gorgeous, well-spoken girl. And in turn, Sophie, I'm sure everyone in this room will agree that I seriously owe you an apology. I'm really sorry. You turned up to his own wedding dress like you want to. Well, Greg's fashion sense over the years has been interesting, it's fair to say. Anyone who's known Greg for the last 10 years will know that the only clothes he's ever bought have either been bright enough to be seen from space or made him look a little bit like Noddy. Another thing that Greg's done over the years is his hair. We can't go, like, as Nick mentioned earlier, Greg had dreadlocks when they first got together. That's not the only one, to be honest, there's been loads. He's had more haircuts than David Beckham and Lady Gaga put together. If Lady Gaga had been a Rasta, and if David Beckham had been colourblind. There's been some interesting ones in there. But when I introduced Greg and Soph, Greg was absolutely instantly smitten with Soph. And within a couple of days, he says to me and Scott, he says, do you reckon Soph would go out with me? And we went, I don't know, mate, I don't know. Yeah, go for it though, shoot for the stars, like. He says, what do you mean shoot for the stars? He says, well, you know, Sophie, she's gorgeous, isn't she? Like, she's quite posh and look at the state of you. But he proved us wrong, and looking like a cross between Bob Marley and one of the Tweenies, he went on his first date.
The time of the first date, I was sharing a house, a ramshackle, rundown student house with Greg, and I remember that about 8 PM, the build-up to the date, and he's pacing the halls, taking liberal swigs of Dutch courage. Around about 1 AM, I'm sat in the living room as a sound appears, a key not quite fitting the door, and a shuffling, shambling figure, possibly singing, descending down the hallway as he bursts into the living room and slumps himself down across the settee. Good day, mate? I asked him. He says, we've been lying in the road. We've been lying in the road. Sorry, I should point out at this point that Greg is amongst the biggest lightweights ever born. And has a massive love of vodka, which he takes on a massive level despite the lightweightism. More so when nerves are involved, the sort of nerves that might come about from a first date with someone way out of your league. So mate, you've been lying in the road. Why? He goes, well, I thought it'd be a good time to have a seat after all the drinking. The curb looked as good a place as any, and I ended up lying down. And Sophie laid down with me. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a particularly cold January. And can anyone in this room honestly say they've found true love? Till you can lie down on a filthy, freezing Mancunian street and be joined without question. I think from this point on, it's been absolutely clear that they're made for each other. I could not wish a more perfect partner for either of them. Absolutely overjoyed. Congratulations to both of you.
Here we are, I was going to say 6 years on, but Sophie told me 7 the other night, so I don't know what to believe anymore. But here we are, 6 years on at their wedding, and I think it's fair to say that I think we can all feel the little bit of stress that's been coming from them both over this last couple of weeks, especially by the amount of volume of emails that have been coming through from Sophie just with all the plans. But in fairness, man, like she had to sort out all the passports and she had to sort out all the chalets and like all the lift passes and everything. And meanwhile, Greg, ever the supportive and absolutely loving husband, pissed off to Glasgow for 10 weeks to go on a ground score. But in fairness, I think anybody who's seen Greg over this last 4 days will know that he has fit 10 weeks worth of stress into 4 days. I thought we were going to explode on Saturday before we all went out for the stag do, and I think, can we just take this opportunity actually, just to have a round of applause to both of them for pulling this off, because let's be honest, one of the good things about this week is that Greg's had the option of actually going skiing and like distracting himself from the whole situation. But it's got me thinking that skiing is Greg's third passion in life, other than Sophie and film. And he likes to treat his women like he treats his skis. He likes to spend a lot of money on them, and he likes to take care of them. And he likes to show off and talk endlessly to anyone that will listen about him. And as much as he doesn't like to admit it, they do make him fall head over heels.
Aww.
And I think, most importantly, as far as I can remember, he's never rented them. I mean, they've been together a long time now. Sophie, she hasn't been scared off by Greg's fashion sense. She hasn't been scared off by his love of comic books and his incredibly extensive Lord of the Rings figurine collection. And Greg, in turn, he hasn't been scared off by Sophie's workaholic nature, a knack of talking with her mouth full, or a complete inability to dance in time regardless of the song. It was this compatibility that when you first got together, that Greg and Soph coined the nickname grophie. We all love grophie. And man, I honestly could have wished for a better suited person for either of them. And absolute congratulations to both of you, man. Absolutely.
10 minutes, job done. So if you would please charge your glasses to the bride and groom, Mr. and Mrs. Sophie Green.